and welcome to Hysterically Hetty, where sometimes I talk about my mental health, sometimes I talk about your mental health, and sometimes I ramble about just about anything. So today I was going to do a light full face. I have no idea how it's going to go out. I got some Too Faced in the mail. I thought this was going to be their multi-sculpt concealer. As you can see, it's the matte foundation, and I bought it previously and returned it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use this little packet. Actually, I'm gonna put on some primer before I forget. And there it is. I was like, where is my plump and prime from Too Faced? All right, I'm gonna put on a little bit of this. So I've been trying to decide what I want to talk to you guys about today, because there are two topics that keep coming up in my head, and I go, nah. And then they come up in my head again, I'm like, nah. But I think I'm going to talk about one of them. What cheating does to one's mental health. I know about cheating on two different aspects. I have never cheated, but I have been the other woman once, not proud of it, and I have been cheated on. Super not proud of that one. The being cheated on happened first. So you would think, as crappy as that made me feel, that I would be a better human being. But I'm not. Well, I feel like I'm a better human being now than I was. So being cheated on, it's one of those things that I don't actually have proof that he cheated on me, because he was very manipulative and sorry, this is getting everywhere. It's like, whoa. And I'm trying out a beauty blender for the first time, like an actual beauty blender. But no, what was I trying to say? Being cheated on really sucked, and it made me a little crazy. And I was already a little crazy because I was not medicated. I also wasn't going to a therapist or anything like that. So I didn't have any outlet to take my craziness. And also, some of it, I think I was crazy because of the way he made me feel in general. Like, he would show me pictures of other girls on his phone. And not like normal girls, not like, oh, my best friend Sally, but like Scarlett Johansson or Jennifer Lawrence, and just be like, man, they're so hot. And yes, I'm bisexual, so I have eyes, and I can make a judgment about whether somebody's hot or not as well. And, you know, we could have had that kind of relationship where we talked about other people and talked about how attractive we thought they were. And, you know, we could have had that if he would have ever been like, I find you attractive. Because, unfortunately, just because you're dating me doesn't mean that I think, you know, that I've got, what do they call it? Like, well, self-esteem. But it doesn't mean that I fully feel like we're together. Like, he dragged it out for like a month where we were dating, going places. He was spending all of his time with me, but we weren't together, you know, that kind of thing. And so I was very insecure in the relationship, and that showed itself a lot. And so I take responsibility for a lot of my actions now that I have had enough time to reflect and to think more deeply about what exactly he did and how I reacted to it. I have to take responsibility for my own crazy instead of blaming 100% of it on him. However, a lot of it wouldn't have happened if he would have, oh, this is so messy, like out of that packet, ugh. If he would have made me feel like we were in a relationship that was wanted, and that I just felt like I trapped him, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I didn't at any point trap him. I don't know, like, I'm trying to give you the Reader's Digest version of the story, but I feel like I need to go back to the beginning of when we first met. And we met at a bar, which is like the best place to meet people. And I was like, oh, he's cute. And from there, like, we flirted. I think it took a couple of times at the bar that we were flirting. And I was like, I think I like him. And one of my friends told me that he had told everyone at the bar that he wanted to do me, but that was all he wanted. So I got mad because I was like, if you want to do me, don't tell all my friends that. And I don't know how many of my friends he told, because I was only told by one person that he had said it. But apparently he did, because when I confronted him about it, I sent him a message, and it was very, like, I was trying to come off very, like, I'm cool. I'm a cool person. Not crazy at all. Because relationships make me crazy with men. Like, men make me crazy, which is why I stopped dating them. But, yeah. So I messaged him and I said, like, it's not cool of you to tell the whole bar this about me or whatever, to say that you wanted to bang me to my friends and make me out to feel like I'm not a person. I'm just a hole for you to stick it in. And I told him, I was like, yeah, feel free to masturbate to me anyway, because that was my attempt at being cool, which, to be honest, I'd prefer that nobody does, because it just weirds me out. Like, ooh. But he started, like, he was like, I'm so sorry, and let me start over, and all this stuff. So we started hanging out, like going to movies with friends, and spending a lot of time together, and then we started kissing and making out and stuff, and still, like, we'll see how it goes. And then my mom got sick, and him and I slept together, and I was just too busy feeling like, are we, what is this? Like, I invited him to my high school reunion. This all took place right now we're in 2012. And our first major fight happened at the bar because one of my good friends was there, and he was all excited to see her, and they had dated, and I was like, why aren't you excited to see me? I'm the reason why you're freaking here. And then, red flags. But I was like, it'll be fine, right? It'll be fine. None of my friends liked him at the bar. And I was just thinking, well, they got to see the, like, not a good side of him. Like, this wasn't his, This wasn't like him and I getting along. It was him and I fighting at the bar. And of course, they're going to take my side. So I didn't take their apprehension very seriously. I took it with a grain of salt, if you will. And so him and I kept seeing each other. And then eventually, like at that night, we got into a fight and I made him commit to me, which to some people that's cool, to some people that's not, but I made him, like I didn't ultimatum him, I informed him we were in a relationship. And while I was yelling at him, like, we're together, and he was like, I know. So super healthy. And for a while we got along really well. He worked at T-Mobile and at the call center, and he would leave early sometimes to come see me, and he would spend his lunch break with me and when I wasn't at work, and things were going really well. And then he started lying about things, and I started getting crazy because I was like, he's lying, and he was hiding his phone, even though like I wasn't trying to go through it or anything. But he would get all like shitty if I happened to look over while he was texting someone. He'd be like, why are you looking at my phone? I'm like, I didn't mean to. Your movement distracted me. So that, why does it look better on one side than the other? So anyway, I felt ugly and I felt like he was cheating on me towards the middle of the end of our relationship. And so I started doing the crazy thing of accusing him and worrying about where he was, but I was in love, and so I didn't want to leave him, like I have no proof that he's cheating, so why bother leaving? And also, again, mind you, I'm not medicated at all at this point. Hadn't even thought about it. Hadn't even thought about going to therapy. Like, everything's fine. I'm fine, you're fine, everything's fine. And it all kind of came to a head when he was supposed to come over for dinner. Like, we had this whole thing planned where he was going to come over for dinner, and he texted me and said, sorry, I got out late from this meeting at work, and my car won't start, so I'm gonna be late. You might as well eat without me. So I was like, okay. And then lo and behold, I happened to see that he's tagged in a Facebook post by this chick named Teresa. Yes, that's her real name. That, it was so fun having dinner with him and all this stuff. And I was like, so did she fix your car? And he was like, well, it was a bunch of us from the meeting, because she works at the jail too. I forgot to tell you that through this, he started working at the jail, and his dream job, and he started becoming a royal dickhead, like just absolutely shitty to me. And I'm at this point crazy, so I'm not exactly the nicest person to date either, because I'm sure something's going on, because he doesn't want to come over after work anymore because he's tired. And the red flags that make you think something's going on. And so anyways, he and all the things I'm using, since I'm kind of just rambling here, I'll list in the bottom of the form. Whatever this is, the bottom of our experience together. But yeah, so he posted that, and I was like, who is she? And so I started researching her, and I kept an eye on her because I was like, my birthday rolls around, and by this point it's 2013, and we had gone out to the bar like a week beforehand or something, like a little bit beforehand, and we got into a fight. He tried to leave me at the bar, drunk off my butt, and so I couldn't get his attention. I couldn't get him to turn around, so I pushed him. Not super proud. I've never put my hands on anybody before that I can remember, at least. And he makes a big deal about it, which is fine. You know, I don't want to sound like somebody can't, like, he was like, well, if I was a guy and I did he's a guy, but if I did this to you, like, I would end up in prison, and like, you just think you can put your hands on me. And so I felt awful, like absolutely terrible. And he's like, starts hanging out with that Teresa girl all the time, and I only know this because I'm at this point, I'm insane, and I'm checking her Facebook, and she's posting updates about him on a regular basis. So my birthday rolls around, it's snowing, but he had to work, couldn't get it off. And so I asked him, like, well, can you at least stop by for just like 5 minutes? Just 5 minutes, and let me see you for my birthday. That's all I want. And he was like, no, it's snowing, and I don't want to get stuck at your house. I've got to work. My job is important. I think for the rest of my life, no matter if I forget his name, her name, no matter what, I'll remember him telling me my job is important. Because I'm thinking, sure it is, but my birthday is also important, and I'm not asking you to stay long enough to get stuck. I'm asking you to come and see me for my birthday. And he ends up not coming, and I get really upset, and I get really drunk, and then I get really anxious, and so I took some medicine, some anti-anxiety meds, and couldn't sleep. So at this point I'm drunk and high, and I'm thinking, I've got his computer here, I'm gonna go through it. And he had been nice enough to lend me his computer because I didn't have one, and I needed it for something, and I never really went through any of it, but it was attached to his Facebook, and so I was like, you know what? If he's gonna be like that, I'm going through his crap. And I found, like, I read all the messages between him and this Teresa girl, and they were all really flirty, but nothing like that 100% crossed the line of like, okay. It was more like, well, he sure flirts with the bitch, like, there to, but he doesn't say anything. And then she gives him her number, and then that's the end of the messages, and that's the end of what I can see. And then he's messaging this other girl talking about me, saying that he really liked this other girl named Charlie and was interested in hanging out with her after, at a party. So I guess he went to a party, didn't invite me or let me know he was going, but it was on a night that he had told me he couldn't hang out with me. So I'm freaking out, and at this point I message her and Teresa, and I'm like, hey, are you sleeping with Bobby? If you are, just tell me, and you can have him, and we, there won't be anything to worry about. I'm just freaking out. And she doesn't respond at all, which, that's her journey. She doesn't have to, but I told him, I was like, if she was really your friend and had any interest in helping you, she would have told me, no, like, we're not together, we're not anything. But she doesn't respond, and I'm like, but still no proof. And at this point, I'm not going to tell him I went through his computer because I wanted to continue going through it. So I did. And I would find things on it, like he had it linked to his Google. So anytime he searched for anything, I could see what he searched for. And he would tell me, like, oh, I can't talk right now, I'm helping my dad. And then I would see that his activity was him watching porn instead. And I'd just be like, why can't you just tell me you don't want to be with me? I remember telling him that. And he's like, well, it's not that I don't want to be with you. And he wouldn't just come out and say it. And that bothered me. And I'm older, wiser, and more bitter because of the situation. Because I let him make an ass out of me. I let that happen. I should have walked away. I shouldn't have gone through his phone. Not phone, but his computer. I'm not proud of that. But at the same point, I wanted to know what was going on, and he wouldn't tell me. And sorry, I don't want to fuck up my eyebrows. So in retrospect, I have so many horror stories about, if you feel like you need to go through his stuff, then just leave. I wish I would have just left, because I held on until right before Thanksgiving of that year. We broke up and got back together, and he wouldn't put it on Facebook because he said, well, we're still, we're not back to the way we were. So I'm going to keep it as, what did we have it as? It's complicated. We kept it there. And so I'm like, okay, fine. We kept it there, and we also kept it hidden. It wasn't on Facebook, but we were still in a relationship on Facebook, and he was still calling me and texting me every day, and sometimes he'd come over. Our schedules either didn't add up or he didn't want them to, but until finally I found out that right before he and I were official, he was still sleeping with his ex-girlfriend when he told me he hadn't been with anybody in a long time. And I lost my shit on him, and I told him, I was like, you're just such a liar. I can't do this anymore. Knowing that our relationship started off with a lie, that this wasn't something that he started doing because I made him, which is what it made it sound like, that I made him lie to me because I was so crazy. I realized that maybe I was crazy. I probably was. I probably was awful to be with. But I wouldn't have been so awful if he would have been better to me. Kind, interested in our relationship. If he wouldn't have habitually lied or talked about other girls. There's just a lot. There's a lot there. And he told me about this Teresa girl, that she was ugly and he wanted nothing to do with her. And that she's not his type, and that he was still interested in me, and yada yada. And I don't have any of the text messages to prove it, because when I got rid of him, I deleted all the messages. I deleted him out of my phone. I was like, done, just done with him. And So I don't have any, like, I don't have my receipts that all this happened. But he allegedly got fired from the jail for sleeping with this girl on the clock. I say allegedly because it was one of my friends' friends that told me, who had happened to have worked at the jail with him. Let's see, in May, I think it was, of the following year, he was in a relationship with this girl. I only know that because she blocked me, and I blocked him. So I was like, I have no idea what they're doing or whatever. And one of our mutual friends sent me a message going, it's true, he was cheating on you, and now he's with that girl. And I was like, awesome, I feel great. Thank you for sharing this with me. And so I was just livid. And I think I texted him because I had his number memorized because I'm crazy, apparently. And I texted him and I was like, what the actual fuck? Like, what the actual fuck? And he really didn't engage, and I don't remember much about that conversation. But right after we had broken up, he showed up at the bar. Like, when I officially broke up with him, he showed up at the bar all, like, upset and drunk, and, like, I don't know if it was to try to get me back, but I used it as an opportunity to just scream at him in his car and tell him what a piece of shit I thought he was, because, you know, I thought he was a piece of shit. I still do. And I had another altercation with, well, not altercation, another incident at that bar. Because the girl that he dated in the past that I was friends with, her and I have become really good friends. And she was up there, and his brother's best friend was up there, and he just goes on to tell me about how they were doing it all the time, even when him and I were together, and how he knew this. And it really upset me. And I mean, there's parts of the story I'm leaving out, not to make myself look better, but because it's information you don't need. But he, like, denied it, saying, well, what would he have any idea of this for? And anybody that asked him, he wouldn't answer them on it, like, at all, and say yes or no. He would just be like, it's none of your business, you know. And so I don't know, like, there might be this slim chance that he didn't sleep with that Charlie girl, and there might be this slim chance that him and this Teresa chick didn't do it before him and I broke up. But I doubt it. And I probably shouldn't have used their names. Like, anybody that knows me, knows them, can say, haha, she's talking about you. And I am. And as much as I would love to not care anymore, it's been long enough. Like, it has been almost 10 years. Next year it'll be 10 years since this whole thing happened. And I'd love to say that I feel better about it, that I'm healed and whole, but we only dated for a year and a half. How am I still utterly destroyed by this? Like, I have no idea. It messed with me so bad, and it still does. Like, I still have PTSD over it. Like, certain things will trigger me, and I'll have flashbacks, or I'll have like panic episodes, and ultimately made it even harder for me to even be friends with men. Like, I used to have a lot of dude friends, and then he happened, and I lost most of, if not all of them. Sorry, somebody mentioned me in a comment on TikTok. Hopefully it's good. But anyway, so that's that story. There's pieces and stuff that I've left out. I may one day tell you guys, but I didn't. The only thing I left out that made me look bad, and is purely because I forgot, was when I found out they were together. I took a steak knife and I walked across the courtyard to one of my friend's apartments, and I was like, two things are going to happen. One, you're going to help me, or two, I'm going to get in a car and go to this dude's house and slash his tires. And he was like, here, Heather, and took the knife, sat it down, gave me a drink, and we watched Frozen. Because that was my go-to. Was Frozen or Thor 2? I can't remember now, actually, that I'm thinking about it. It was either Frozen or Thor 2. But I lived off of those. I lived off of my friend Andy and Dan's couch. And I lost almost every friend that I had because I was just a nutbag. So if you were friends with me during that period and you're still my friend, then thank you. I'm medicated now, and I have higher self-esteem, and I'm not dating men, so hopefully that'll never happen again. But I'm sure he refers to me as his crazy ex-girlfriend. I am positive that Teresa does, because she mentioned me. If you go to her Facebook, if you find out who she is and you go to her Facebook and go to her events, she has this one that's called Met Someone. And then if you read the comments, she says, oh, he was dating somebody. I told him to break up and he went far the other way, or something like that. She's talking about them and me. One of my deputy friends actually liked that comment. I wanted so badly to message him and be like, you're an idiot. But I was going to say something shitty, but I'm not going to. If they're still together, I hope the best for them. I hope they have lots and lots of babies, and they get married, and they're just flooded with diapers, because that is a certain level of hell that I couldn't wish on anyone but you. Anyway, so it's 32 minutes. I've been running my mouth, and I hope that you have a great weekend. I hope that things go well for you. If you need to talk to somebody, I hope you reach out. And if there's anything you need or want to see from me, you know how to comment, like, subscribe. I would do all of those things. But I'll talk to you later. I love you. Bye.